From WLWT, this is Issues.
Hello, welcome to Issues. I'm Jan-Michele Lemon Kearney of Special Communications and the Cincinnati Herald. This is a medical show today. A little later, we're going to talk about fertility. It's a big issue for a lot of couples. First, we're going to talk about this kind of new innovation in the health field, telehealth. Really, really exciting. Children's Hospital Medical Center right here in Cincinnati is doing telehealth all over the world. So let's start by introducing you to the Senior Director of Telehealth at Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center, Jennifer Rushman.
Hi.
Thank you. Did I get your name right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're really excited to hear. As I said, I ran into Tori Ames in the hallway, and she was all excited about telehealth, and we started talking about it. And I said, oh, Jennifer's got to come on so we can hear more about this, so people can know about telehealth. So tell us, what is it?
Yeah, sure. So, well, thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here.
We're really excited. We've had our Center for Telehealth actually for about 5 years now, but you know, things evolve over time, and
Right.
it's definitely becoming more mainstream. So kind of the first thing that people always say, well, what do you mean when you say telehealth? And I think the simplest way to explain that is what my 9-year-old says when people ask him what his mom does. He says, she helps people see the doctor on TV.
Oh, what a good summation of what it is.
Yeah.
Good.
So it's really just using video technology to connect providers to other providers or patients when they're not in the same physical space. So sometimes that's connecting our providers to patients in their homes within our own community but sometimes, as you mentioned, it's connecting our providers to patients in the Dominican Republic or in the Middle East or in China, where there maybe isn't a specialist that sees the kind of conditions that their child has.
Right, and so what Tori was telling me when I really got excited about this is that when children are in the hospital, they can often go home earlier because their doctors can see them via this telehealth method, which really means on their computer screen, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we use telehealth a couple of ways to try to get kids home sooner and spend less time in the hospital.
Which is so much better for healing,
Yeah. One of the ways is that we'll use telehealth when patients are in the hospital, so at a different campus or maybe in a NICU, so they can see a specialist and they're not waiting an extra, hours or days for that specialist who may not be at that hospital. So maybe they're born, in a hospital that doesn't have a cardiologist, but they need to see the cardiologist and then they can go home and follow up outpatient. So we'll use telehealth to allow that to happen. But then we can also check in with patients and track them, but remotely connect with them to allow us to get their health information.
So, so one question I had when I was reading about this was, okay, so you're on the internet, you're on a computer. Can everybody see your private information or hear you chatting with your physician? Right,
yeah, that's a very important question. And so when we do telehealth, we use secure private connections, but it's important to know that you don't necessarily want to just FaceTime or use some of the tools that we use in our everyday lives to talk to our kids when we're out of town for your medical information. So there's certain security standards that make that information more private so that it isn't accessible to other folks when they're on the internet. So
when you at Children's Hospital, when you sign up for telehealth, you're not just doing FaceTime, or you're not just opening up your computer and your doctor's on there. There's certain rules you have to, or certain
there's certain tools that will send
you have to use.
Yeah, and it's very similar, and it'll feel similar to if you were using FaceTime. We'll send certain links, but there's extra security in those tools that allow us to make sure that other folks can't have access to your health information.
And then, the other question, is it accurate? I mean, somehow we're used to our doctor being right here in person. So can a physician really examine a patient or really understand what's going on via the internet or via computer screens?
I mean, I think that's a really important question. One of the things we always talk to our providers and our patients about is at any point in time, the provider may say, this isn't the right way for me to answer the question that we have here. But for a lot of things, it really is. Using that voice and video, we even have tools if you're at another hospital where we can have a remote stethoscope and have a remote camera where we can look in your ear. And so we have some tools to make that diagnosis really high quality. But I do think that's important for people to consider if you're looking at telehealth with your providers, or sometimes there's online services now, can they really answer the question that I'm asking, what's clinically going on with me with the tools they have? So for example, there's a lot of concerns if you're at home and your kiddo has an ear infection and you kind of dial a doc on your computer and they never look in your child's ear, but they're prescribing antibiotics. So there's some disconnect there. I think there's things that telehealth is really great for, and there's some things that we have to be cautious as sort of parents and consumers that that we're getting the highest quality care.
So we should really be careful with that. So telemedicine is really a broad field, and but if we're on telehealth at Children's Hospital, then that doctor would actually look in the ear. So I think it depends on what telehealth service you're signed up with, right?
Exactly.
You have to be careful with that.
Yeah, you have to be thoughtful about who your provider is and what their credentials are, and then what tools they have available to them.
Right.
And so there's lots of things. We have this great program with our primary care team where parents may call, you call in, my kid's sick this morning and they have a rash, and if they think video will help, those nurses can send out a secure link and have the parent connect and show that. But they wouldn't do that for an ear infection if they can't look in the ear. So you have to have good clinicians providing that high quality care to know the limitations.
Right, and then the big question is cost. Will insurance cover this? Will they cover your doctor visit via telehealth, via the computer?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there are some limitations right now. In the state of Ohio, Medicaid will cover telehealth, and most private payers when performed by certain providers. So
yay, Ohio.
Well, yes and no. They don't. They require Medicaid. They don't require private payers to cover it, and they won't cover services provided in the home currently, and they also don't cover services provided like by speech therapists or dietitians. And so we're doing a lot of those services through grant-funded programs and things. But I think I would encourage Ohio to be more progressive.
Yes.
Because there are lots of opportunities to provide therapies and interventions to our kids in their homes.
And some states actually do, right?
Yeah. There are over 40 states that will cover
oh my
telehealth.
Goodness, so not yay, Ohio.
Yeah.
We need to catch up.
Yes, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good to know. So how does one sign up for telehealth? Is it automatic when you're a patient at Children's? Or?
Yeah, no, it's not currently. So right now, when your telehealth will be offered to you by your provider, usually for follow-up services.
Okay.
So when you see a provider at Cincinnati Children's, they will let you know if they're offering follow-up services via telehealth. If you're a patient in our pediatric primary care practice, you can ask about the video link to be able to connect with that nurse triage line.
Okay.
They'll send it out if you call in, but they're actually going to start sharing that with patients so that you can initiate the call via video and say, I know you want to take a look at my baby and let me know what I need to do.
Yeah, especially talking about those ear infections. They're so common. I mean, oh my goodness, that's great.
And we're getting a cold and flu season, and so I think we all worry about difficulty breathing and things like that.
Yeah, it's scary. So is there a number people should call, Jennifer, to find out more about telehealth?
Yeah, if you would like to find out more about telehealth in general, you're welcome to call our Center for Telehealth. It's 513-803-8353.
Okay, and tell us that number one more time, and Jeff has it up here on the screen.
It's 513-803-8353 for our Center for Telehealth. You can also go to the Cincinnati Children's website, www.cincinnatichildrens.org/telehealth, and it'll have a lot of these FAQs and information there for you.
Fantastic. That is so great.
Yeah.
Medicine is moving forward. I just love it.
Great.
Thank you for coming.
Thank
Stick
you.
with us. We'll be back in a moment. We're going to talk about fertility. Be right back. Welcome back. So I want you to meet Christy Davis, and you used to see her here on Channel 5 all the time, but she's been at UC Health about, what, 3 years?
3 years now. Yeah, this is my old stomping ground, so I did see a couple people that I know. I got
Everybody
to say
was
hello.
so excited to see you. Yeah, it was so great to have you back. So, but you're now projects manager, special projects manager at UC Health.
Yes, I work in the community relations department, and I work on their special projects and some of the communications work that they do there. And I'm really excited to be here too, because we have this really fantastic series we've started up called Community Conversations. Our first one was a community conversation on cancer. Now we're going to have a community conversation on the common causes of fertility issues, and that affects so many people in our community, and it's kind of one of those hush-hush issues. Folks aren't really sure how to talk about it, so we're excited to bring it into the light.
That's a hard topic because I think couples don't want to admit when they, everyone's like, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to have kids? And some couples are really trying and it's not happening. And it's very stressful. And it seems like the more stressed people get, the harder it is. So tell us, what are some of the causes though of infertility?
So, there's a wide range of causes, and we're really lucky in this region. We have one of the best physicians in the country, in Dr. Michael Thomas.
Oh, he's wonderful.
Who is, he is the guru of fertility, really.
Right.
And so he and his team, what they do is they look at what could be causing the issues for the couple. A lot of times we think this is a woman's issue, and women think,
people don't realize that men have problems
Men have issues too.
Yeah.
So, they do start with a whole family history, and they also talk to couples who, if they're below the age of 35, they've been trying for a year and haven't been able to get pregnant. That's when they ask them to start seeing the doctor. If you're over the age of 35, you've been trying for about 6 months, then they think that, go see the OBGYN first, but then make an appointment to see a reproductive endocrinologist. So they're looking for things that could be as simple as, are you having marital relations or relations with your partner at the right time of the month to get pregnant? Because for some patients, it's just a timing issue. And then for others, they're looking for some physical issues.
Aren't there ways that you can check that, like your ovulation cycle?
There are.
Yeah.
There are, and our physicians will give our patients an opportunity to learn about that. And that's another piece of information we're going to be providing at our community conversation on November 14th.
Okay.
But there are some physical issues that could be causing some problems. There could be blocked tubes. Endometriosis can cause some of these issues.
And that seems really common.
Yes, it is common. But you will find that patients don't always know that they're dealing with these issues before they try and have a family.
Right.
And then for the men, it could be an issue with their sperm. So the shape of the sperm, the speed of the sperm, and these are things that can be sometimes even managed with over-the-counter remedies. But if you don't know what's going on, then you're not quite sure what's happening. And that's why we want to talk about these things, especially on November 14th at our event.
And so let's go back to the men and the sperm. So sometimes they're like sports injuries that affect.
Yes, and that's
fertility.
why that your medical history is so important. When you go in and see one of our reproductive endocrinologists, which is a really fancy scientific term to just say fertility doc.
Right.
When you go see one of those physicians, they sit down with you for half an hour to 45 minutes with the couple to talk about everything that could possibly be going on here. And they start at the very beginning up until the time that you walk into the office. So you get a lot of personal one-on-one time. So things like sports injuries, illnesses in childhood, there are all sorts of things that could be affecting your ability to start a family. And you may not know that down the line that was causing this issue, but you'd be amazed at how many ways our physicians can work with families to get the ball rolling.
Wow. And I was going to say a really great story. A friend of mine was having problems getting pregnant. And so her physician said, we think one of your tubes is blocked. And so they were doing a test. But somehow in doing the test, it unblocked the tube, but she didn't realize that. And so she said, like around Thanksgiving, she was feeling really sick and then realized she was pregnant. And her son now is like 25 years old and, all worked out well. But sometimes there are things that are happening that you just have no idea about.
Polycystic ovarian syndrome affects so many women, and they aren't aware of it until they try to start and have a family.
Right.
So these are the times when some of those are
really
uncovered.
Asymptomatic then.
Yeah. Some, at times. I mean, there are symptoms, things like heavier than normal bleeding during your cycle could be a symptom, but this may have been the way that you've had your cycle your entire life, and you think, well, this is normal for me. Right. And so until you really started that process of trying to start your family, you may not even think to explore what could be going on there. And that's really, that's part of the beauty of being able to come out and talk about these situations and these issues in a safe space.
Yeah, I love that. And so there are all these different causes. Are there things that people do that make fertility harder? I mean, are there like, sometimes they say don't exercise, or I'm just saying these are all wives' tales.
The best thing to do is if you think that you're having an issue and you really want to start a family, is to see your doctor.
Okay.
That's the best thing to do. I mean, you can WebMD it to death.
Okay.
But the best thing to do is talk to a professional, because a lot of times the way
because everybody's
to
got
move forward.
advice and it's half of it's wrong.
And a lot of times the way to move forward is very simple. You just need a physician's guidance to do so.
Okay, so we're going to come back in a minute. We're going to talk about community conversations and this event November 14th, right?
Yes.
Okay, stick with us.
We're excited to talk about it.
All right, great. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back. I'm here with Christy Davis. She's Special Projects Manager at UC Health, and we're talking about fertility issues with couples. And we've been talking about some causes of infertility, but your advice is you need to talk to your doctor. But on November 14th, there's a community conversation. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so our office, the Community Relations Office at UC Health, one of the things that we are most dedicated to at UC Health is improving the physical and the economic health of our community. And one of the ways we get to do that is meeting people where they are with really important health information. And this information on fertility is so important because so many people struggle with it and they're just not sure what to do or where to go. So we're bringing the doctor to you on November 14th at the the Urban League of Greater Southwestern Ohio.
Oh, good.
In the community room. We've got about 50 spots. Dr. Michael Thomas is going to be there with all of this expert information. Like I said in our first segment, he is a gem in this city. There are so many babies in Cincinnati that are directly an effect of Dr. Thomas's work. So if you've been having some trouble starting your family or maybe having that second child, this is an opportunity for couples to come in and talk to a leading expert in the country about what you can do right here in your own backyard to get your family started. And so that's
I was going to say, Dr. Thomas is really not intimidating. Like he's really sweet and he's kind of funny, and so I think people can definitely relate to him.
Yeah,
so,
because some of the terms are like, you may not feel comfortable talking about some of these things in public, but I'm telling you, once you get in a room with Dr. Thomas, you're just going to be like, start spilling all the information, telling him everything, because once you've had a chance to hear from him and then speak to him and tell him what's going on, he's going to put you at ease. You're going to make your appointment the next day.
I love that.
So this event is happening November 14th. It's from 5:30 to 7:30.
Okay.
We are going to provide dinner because we know that's right around dinner time for folks, so they don't have to try and get home to make dinner. They can come straight to our event. Again, that's at the Urban League in the community room. That's on Reading Road.
Right, and 3458 Reading, right across from South Avondale School. So,
exactly, not too far from here, actually.
That's right.
And we really want to encourage couples to come out. And it's, if you're in your early 20s and you're trying to start your family, if you are in your 40s or older and you're trying to start your family.
Right, Janet Jackson had her baby at 50. So
at 50.
Go Janet.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, we don't know all the details, but at that age, you know that there was definitely physician involvement there.
Right.
And so, if you're in that stage of life and you know you want to have that baby, this is a great opportunity. And fertility is not just a women's issue.
See, I love that you're saying that, because people,
we
were talking about that people think it's the woman, but sometimes there's a sperm issue too.
Exactly.
It takes both, right?
Yes. And even just for the support. So maybe there is something happening with the woman's body, but you really want your partner to be there to support you through that.
Right.
But this is
and to understand what's going on.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's good. And I love that you said it's a safe space. So couples will be there, singles and couples, I'm sure will be there, and it's confidential because everybody can share and feel like what happens in the room stays
in the room.
Yeah.
Yes, that stays in the room. You're going to be able to get more information on how to set up your appointment if you feel like you need to move forward with physician involvement. And then there'll be information just on reproductive health in general. So if you are having some of those issues, maybe you're not quite ready to start your family, but you've been noticing some changes in your body that you may have questions about, this is a good opportunity for that. There will also be information on freezing your eggs. There are some ladies who are postponing having children. I'm one of them.
Okay.
I'm in my 30s. I have not met the guy yet.
All right. Okay.
And so I'm one of the folks who's having the conversation to find out how do I preserve that genetic material until it's the right time?
Wow.
And so if that's a question you've got, and they'll even be talking about the financial aspects of some of these options for
Because some can be
fertility.
expensive, but then insurance might cover some of this as well.
Exactly. Insurance
Yeah.
might cover it. And at UC Health, we work really hard with families too. If you are really dedicated to starting your family, we're going to try to do everything we can to make sure you can do that in a way that is both safe and effective, but also fits your economic needs.
That's fantastic. And Jeff is saying, give us that phone number, Christy.
Okay, all right.
So, and
here's
we
the
should
deal.
say it's free. There's no charge for this
It's free.
event.
There is no charge, but we only have 50 spots. We really want to make sure people RSVP.
Okay.
So we want you to either call 585-8128. Again, that's 513-585-8128. You can also email us. If you just want to shoot us a quick email and say, hey, I want to be there, you just email communityrelations@uchealth.com.
Okay.
Again, that's communityrelations@uchealth.com.
Okay, Christy, give us that phone number one more time.
So one more time, the phone number, 513-585-8128. We'll get your name on the list. Your spot will be held. And we just can't wait to see you folks. We're so excited to provide this information
I know.
to the community.
I'm so glad you all are doing this because it's such a tough topic and couples really stress and it's just so important. So I'm just, really hats off to UC Health. November 14th, 5:30, you're serving dinner.
Yeah.
It's free.
There's absolutely no reason not to be there.
There's no reason not to be there.
Not to be there.
Yeah, and Dr. Michael Thomas is just fantastic. So
yeah.
thanks, Chrissy. Thanks for coming. Stick with us. Michael's here with some community events. All right, Michael's back and she's got some events for you.
First up, we have the Living Water Ministries Saved, Dope, Blessed Singles Gathering, November 16th through the 18th at Great Wolf Lodge Convention Center. Tickets are $65. Register as soon as you can because it's going to fill up fast. Next up is the Men of Honor 2018, a salute to African American men. That's going to be Saturday, November 17th at 6 p.m. at the Hyatt Regency Cincinnati, 151 West 5th Street. For more information, call 733-1555. And we have several honorees. One is Stephen Jemison from Procter & Gamble, Eric Kearney, the president and CEO of Greater Cincinnati's African American Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Elbert Nelson, who's the director at Christ Hospital Birthing Center, Dave Parker, Reds Hall of Famer from the Cincinnati Reds, Lincoln Ware, talk show host, Radio 1. And it's going to be a really wonderful event. They actually get $3,000 grant to give to organizations.
Yeah,
it's
wonderful.
a big deal. Try and come out.
Claudia Abercrombie puts that event
Yes,
on,
the
and
Abercrombie
she does
group.
a fantastic job.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
It is one of those things that really is a phenomenal event.
Yeah, don't miss it. Men of Honor, November 17th.
And then we have one of our favorite things this year coming up. It is going to be the Friends of the Cincinnati Herald's 5th annual. It's on Saturday, December 22nd, 2 p.m. at Word of Deliverance Church, 693 Fresno Road. It's a holiday-free concert. For more information, call 368-8108.
Put on by Robert Humphreys. He's so great. And the Friends of the Herald, Curtis Fuller, Shelley Hamler, so many fantastic people. Have a great week. Stay safe, stay positive.